Angry Birds is a game I surrounded myself with a lot more than I really remember. It kind of has that Garfield effect, where it's so prevalent in society that it just blends in and disappears. The Angry Birds series has a pretty interesting relationship with merchandise. While the games themselves made a lot of money for Rovio, especially in the early days, the characters were even more iconic. I'm not hyperbolizing when I say that it could very well be the symbol of a generation. And the company actually made the most money externally by using these beloved characters through non-game extras, like the TV show, movies, and most importantly, the merch. At its peak, you couldn't go anywhere without seeing these guys. They were like the Minions. And while here in North America we got a decent selection of products, in China, Angry Birds was on another level, much like another popular mobile game series that need not be named. In general, Rovio was willing to make merch out of whatever they could shape the birds into, no matter how disgusting and out of whack they looked. So I went on AliExpress and bought as many Angry Birds toys as I could. Originally I was gonna make this a bootlegs video, at least that was until I actually got the packages and realized that all of these are official. So let's go through just a handful of the weird but officially licensed Angry Birds products. We're gonna start with the most normal one, then work our way up to the weirder and lesser known ones. Starting with a series of toys that were actually designed to blend in with the actual games. Telepods. Announced in September of 2013, Telepods were Rovio's foray into the Toys to Life market. Their gimmick? To separate them from the ever-popular Skylanders, Telepods would be able to work natively on mobile, while Skylanders' mobile ports would need the portal accessory with Bluetooth. As you can see, these ones come with the actual car toy, some little card thing, and a piece of paper showing the set, as well as a trophy-shaped stand used both to prop them up and as a magnifying glass.
What? Oh my god.
The way they worked was through a QR code at the bottom of the car. There are these little pegs that barely hold it up, and you line it up so that the car is directly above the camera on your device, allowing the game to scan it in. I got 3 of them, all of which are from Series 2, so I'm perfectly fine with opening them up. Those 3 being Terrence, the Blues, and a helmet-wearing pig. All of which look pretty good, especially considering the sheer amount of quality for such tiny little figures. But functionally, apparently they were also really inconsistent, since there wouldn't be a lot of light once the toy was directly on the camera, so you'd have to use a flashlight to light it up so it would work. Sadly, Angry Birds Go was removed from the App Store along with most of the other classic games in 2019, so I can't test their in-game functionality, but the actual little cars aren't too bad. Something I was unaware of is that telepods were actually used in more games than just Angry Birds Go. I was always under the impression they were specifically designed for that one game, but according to the very helpful Angry Birds wiki, which I'll be citing for most of this video, specifically the merch section, is that they were also available for a number of other games, like Angry Birds Stella, Angry Birds Star Wars 2, and Angry Birds Transformers, each with their own line of original figure designs and in-game functionality. They don't stand on the stands very well, but either way, let's move right along to the next product. So next we got little plushies. These are actually genuine 2012 Chinese McDonald's toys. For some reason, they didn't come in any plastic packaging like most McDonald's toys here do. Wait, they discontinued using plastic in 2021? Why? McDonald's, I hate you now. But rather, these cardboard boxes that the birds can be taken out of. The only one that did come in plastic was repackaged. The plushies themselves are actually surprisingly high quality considering they're McDonald's toys, about on par with their larger counterparts. And also, very cute. Obviously the designs are based off the games, as it was 2012, so there wasn't much else to base them off of. So yeah, these ones were also pretty good, but also a little too normal. Over the years, there have been many more direct attempts to bring the game into the real world. This next package is an Angry Birds playset. The wiki has several different ones listed, but I'm pretty sure this is one of the Angry Birds build and launch sets. The reason I'm not 100% sure is because the set didn't come in any branded packaging. It just came in a weird bubble wrap thing.
What did they do to my boy? And there goes all the other ones too.
Not to mention there are several other Angry Birds sets they've released over the years. My personal favorite is this older one. You can really tell because the molds look slightly off, and they didn't even bother to make a unique mold for the different types of pigs. They just used stickers. Why is the helmet pig wearing 2 helmets? Apparently this one's a board game, and I guess you could call it that. The idea is that it's a physical recreation of the mobile game in real life. You use the slingshot, it's more like a catapult, to shoot the birds at the pigs, with various building pieces, like 2 stone and 3 wood. Clearly just the utmost structural stability. The slingshot doesn't really fit with the birds. It's angled in a way where if you're not careful, they'll just fall out because of gravity. It would be a lot more forgivable if this was one of the first products, but these definitely weren't made in 2010, as the molds are clearly more based off the Angry Birds Toons designs rather than the original games. They look pretty good, but some of the paint is a bit off. Stella's eyes are slightly pink, and you can definitely tell they were cheaply made when feeling the plastic. But enough rambling on about these toys, let's play some Angry Birds.
Yay, I did it!
Next we have a box of fake Legos, or Edukie. These are literally bootleg Lego. They have their own scuffed brick separator and everything, and they're actually somehow officially licensed. The company was started in 2019, seemingly popping up out of nowhere. These aren't the first building blocks to be connected to the Angry Birds brand. K'NEX partnered with Rovio all the way back in 2012, with official Lego sets coming out 4 years later in tandem with the movie. It seems odd that they'd hand off the IP to some random company, but I'm not a businessman. Maybe Edukie can make some certified bangers. We'll just have to see. Okay, so again, this company is clearly just a ripoff Lego, but I will say the box it comes in looks pretty good. It opens up just like old Lego sets used to, and contains both the instructions and some bags of pieces. Actually, building the set wasn't too bad, but at points, the instructions were a bit hard to read, specifically in terms of color. Lego instructions have never had this issue, but here, certain shades of gray and brown both look the same, and I couldn't really tell which colors went where. Adding stickers was also a bit of a pain. I would have preferred custom printed bricks, but that's not an Edukie issue, I just suck at adding stickers. Clearly. Anyways, the set comes with 2 minifigs, King Pig and some other teenage girl character. Truth be told, I never actually watched the second Angry Birds movie, and it's been at least 8 years since I've seen the first one, so I don't really know what's going on. As for the actual look and design of the set, I actually really like it. The castle looks aesthetically pleasing while also having enough moving parts and play features to be a fun little toy. But the set really isn't remotely original. The whole layout of everything seems to have been borrowed from a 2016 LEGO Angry Birds movie set called King Pig's Castle, except there are less minifigures and cool stuff going on. I really don't get the deal with these guys. Looking them up, the first link leads to the Angry Birds wiki page about them. No official website or anything. But maybe the Edukie bricks were too small to truly appreciate. Could I interest you in an Angry Birds blanket? Oh my, he sure doesn't look like he's having fun. It's also unofficial. I just needed to show this bad boy off to the world. Oh, and of course, how could we go so long without talking about the Angry Birds gun?
It's a gun, it shoots balls.
It really captures the horrors of being torn and reformed into an almost unrecognizable shape, like that one Junji Ito story. The toy itself looks fine once you get past the immeasurable terror of Red's unhindered screams. There's a QR code on the box that leads to a game called Angry Birds Explore. Scanning it, it leads to a little camera AR game called Whack-A-Pig.
Whack-A-Pig. There's nothing here. I'm not seeing anything.
The game didn't work, but thankfully, it also comes with a king pig target you can shoot at. The gun itself looks cool when you're not too busy accidentally losing pieces inside of it. It's supposed to shoot out little balls, like a Nerf rival gun, but there's nothing stopping the balls from just falling out as soon as you angle the gun down. You can also open his head to get them out, which is only adding to the horror factor. Let's see how it does against the castle. I win. Now is probably a good enough time to do an intermission. Since there's so much Angry Birds merchandise, I thought it'd be fun to do a little lightning round, taking a look at a handful of the more random and weird products I couldn't get my hands on. In 2013, they partnered with another company called Orbotics to make a limited edition Bomb Sphero. There have also been several board games, including one specifically about spring, called Angry Birds Spring is Sprung. There are car accessories, bowling balls, fish bait, and how can we forget costumes of all different sizes? You can even get one for your dog. Clearly, the Angry Birds brand has no limits to how far these characters will go. But as for the last real licensed product, I have some Angry Birds Transformers toys. From what I can tell, Rovio didn't really capitalize on the game of the same name. At least, I think they're based off of the Angry Birds Transformers game, so I'm pretty confused because the box says it's from 2021. The game released 7 years earlier, so I don't really understand why they waited so long to sell merch based off of it. According to the wiki, 2021 is in a time period called the Hard Times generation. Well, games were actively being removed from the App Store, and no new releases looked promising. This was after the success of the movie started to wear off, so maybe they needed to sell out a bit more since all the old games weren't bringing in new customers. Angry Birds Transformers isn't one of these deleted games though. In fact, it's still on the App Store today, so I guess it makes a lot of sense to take advantage of what little games they still have. As for the actual toys, they're actually pretty neat. I remember I was a big fan of both Angry Birds and Transformers as a kid, so these are pretty much every 6-year-old's dream. The idea is that the bird or pig can attach onto a Transformer's body that can also change into a car. You know, like a Transformer. Except they're called something kind of weird. The packaging reads,
Angry Birds transforming car. Okay, cool. Catapult car. What the fuck? The birds are about the same as the ones you get in the regular set. However, there's one striking difference. This one has a butt.
You can tell that the birds and pigs are supposed to come flying off, sort of like you're using the slingshot from the games, but yeah, actually transforming them is comparable to actual Transformers, so I can't really say much about that. These are actually pretty cool.
So now that I have all of these official but very weird Angry Birds toys, what am I gonna do with them now? Well, I think the answer is quite simple. Let's play some Angry Birds.
So these are just a handful of the crazy merchandise you can get from China. Something I'm pretty surprised of is the actual quality of the boxes. The packaging is probably the main standout compared to all the bootlegs. They're also the only reason I knew they weren't bootlegs. I think Angry Birds merchandise is really interesting. To put into perspective how successful the merchandise was for the brand, the mobile games that everyone knows and loves probably made table scraps compared to the behemoth that is products. Angry Birds was so pervasive in everyone's childhoods, but also forgettable enough to not be that noticeable. I just wish Rovio made some actual good games again, because no one's buying a t-shirt over Angry Birds Blast. I want to give a special thanks to Authentic Egg and Dinaster24 for being members of the Patreon. It means a lot, guys.